Okay. Okay, we're in. This webinar is being recorded and we are live. Yeah. We are here today. Welcome everybody. Welcome to this.
Hello.
Yes, this webinar is going to be fun. Also, Bonnie, it looks so cozy in that studio.
It really is. This is Stephanie's
it.
OG studio for anyone who remembers when she was still here in the Nebraska office, but super cozy.
I
Don't know where
know it.
everyone's calling from, but
Yeah. Where's everyone? Drop in the chat where you're at right now, where you're located. Is it getting cold? Is it hot? Athens, Greece. Oh,
okay,
that sounds
Omaha,
awesome.
we've got some Nebraska
Awesome.
representation.
Mexico, Buenos Aires. Ooh, okay. Ooh, so it's hot in many places. Oh my gosh, Wisconsin, nice.
Love it. Of course, we've got a lot of Colorado, I see.
There is a lot of Colorado. Love that. Oh, Miami, super hot. I bet it's so hot. No, wait, hold on. Someone is in the Oakview Mall in Omaha. That's awesome. That is okay. I love that. It's so awesome.
I
I
haven't been to
grew
that mall
up
in
in
so
there.
long.
Yes, that is so cool. This feels like a step in my journey that like to be speaking at a webinar as someone's watching it at that mall. That is awesome. I love that.
We've made it.
We made it. It's,
Atlanta, California, all over the coast.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh, and the Netherlands? Oh wait, it's a lot of Chicago too, which same. Oh, Evanston, nice. You're just up north from me. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, look, everyone from everywhere. And it's so crazy. And I'm just so glad again for everyone joining us because we know like, this is a crazy time. You've got school starting, there's still trips going, there's like vacations. I mean, there's just so much. So thank you so much for joining us here today. And thank you, Bonnie. Let's do a little quick intro. So I'm Stephanie, guys from the Travify team here. And then I got my wing woman Bonnie on the other side.
Hello, everyone. I'm probably more on trainings than anything. So if we've had a training together, hello. If you have not had a training with me, sign up.
Yes.
Love matching faces to people. But
that's so
glad
true.
to have you.
I know. So Bonnie, actually, I was already going to talk about this, but one thing we definitely always like to remind people is that we do one-on-one training. So even though we do these like big webinars like right now that we do, once a month, we do trainings one-on-one. So you can chat with Bonnie like any time of the week, just on one-on-one, really truly ask those questions that you might have that are specific to you. So it's super cool. Really cool that we have that. I'll make sure I will talk about that. Oh, Bianca said I had a train with Bonnie. It was awesome. Love it.
Bianca. Long time no see. We'll have to get you guys back on some more trainings, but
yes.
Yeah. Go for it.
Nope. Sorry. Go ahead.
Away.
Okay. Should we jump in here? See, I don't know. Okay, I'm curious how long this webinar will last because I'm covering a lot. So I'll probably jump in here. But I do have things to mention. One, this is being recorded. So if you need to hop off, totally cool. We actually will put it up on our YouTube channel. Just give me a couple hours or so and then I can get that up there. But if you register, you'll automatically receive that recording as well. The other thing, I bet there's a lot of questions because again, we're going through so much. So there might be questions and feel free to throw those in that Q&A panel. So there's a Q&A panel. There's also the chat as well. But if you can remember to do it in the Q&A panel, that just kind of helps us out a little bit. And then we always take our questions afterwards and we share them with the team because we really like to see what a lot of people are asking when we, things that you might, maybe if you have feedback, suggestions, anything, throw those in there. But then Bonnie's going to be working real hard. Are you ready, Bonnie? I'm ready. There's going to be a lot of questions. Okay.
Definitely going to be jam-packed. So we are ready to go.
Yes. So we'll try our hardest to get to all those questions. We will have time at the end to ask some. I'm not sure how long, but we'll see. And we'll try to gather the ones that a lot of people keep asking, the really popular ones. We'll try to get those. But otherwise, feel free, put those in there. Bonnie will try really hard to keep up. But again, if we don't get to them, which is very likely, especially when they start coming in at the end, it's just Bonnie and I, so it gets a little tough. We can also chat with you after this. So just reach out to our support team, and we'll be able to help there as well, which I will be pushing that a couple times. So I'll tell you how you can reach us if that happens. But today, what we're going to be discussing is really exciting. I can't believe also the how many people have registered. With doing groups and talking about group specific trips. A lot of times, users don't realize that there's things you can do in Travify that helps specifically with group trips. So I'm super pumped today to just dive into that and talk about how that pertains when you are booking and organizing and planning these group trips. All kinds of different group trips, which we'll get into. But what I'm going to do today is first, I always like to just do a really quick Travify overview, because if you are new, or even if you're not new, sometimes you might not realize what's all available to you. So I'll do that really quick at the beginning after this slide actually, and then I'm going to dive in and I'm going to talk about how you can market with groups using Travify, and then we're going to talk about how you can collect like traveler information, create like registration forms, things like that. And then we're going to move on to talking about the trips. So, putting together proposals, itineraries with groups, all of those things. And then we're going to also talk about, what does it look like for the travelers? What is the experience that they have from Travify, and how you can, some tips that, you can make it really awesome for them. So it's going to be a lot, so many great things. So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about all of the different tools in Travify. Now, here's something that's really funny. When I was going through this, I was like, wait a second, we're talking about all of these today. There's not many webinars where we truly talk about every one of our tools. And this is one where we do. So that's what we mean by there'll probably be a lot of questions, because we're doing a lot of things. But with everything that comes with Travify, so if you have a Travify subscription, you have access to all of these tools. That includes, of course, the itinerary builder, which I always say that's our bread and butter. That's where we started. The itinerary builder is the most popular tool because it's been around the longest. That's where Travify started. And so you can create these really awesome branded itineraries and proposals. Your clients can view them on the app, which we'll explore later on throughout this webinar as well. The other thing, though, that we launched a few years ago, I can't believe it's been like 3 years now, I think, is which is crazy, right, Bonnie?
That is
It's like,
crazy. Three?
yeah. It's kind of a lot of the pandemic, the thing we don't talk about, that pandemic. This was where a lot of this stuff started coming out at, is the CRM side. Is so basically you can organize your traveler information within Travify as well. So we'll talk about that. And then, of course, forms. So you can create forms to collect any information you need, whether it's like new trips that or new traveler information, credit card authorization. We also offer invoicing solutions. So there's a lot built into that. And then finally, one of my personal favorite things is the website and landing page builder, which we call Pages now. That is what I'm going to dive into first, actually. And I'm really excited to, because it is a way to market yourself and your trips and your services. So we're going to talk about that. And again, we're going to focus on all these tools in the group trip scope. So it's going to be really, really cool. And again, as you can see, there's a lot we're going to go over today. So keep in mind that our support team is ready and here to help. I'll say this at the end, but we do have, you can sign up for a free trial and you can access all the features that I'm going through today. You also can schedule a one-on-one demo, or if you're already a user, you can schedule a training. Maybe you get Bonnie. It'll be really cool. So feel free, keep that in mind as I'm going through. If there's something that you're like, oh, wow, I want to dig more into that, schedule a training and we can do that one-on-one with you and really dig into what you are specifically looking for. So it's really cool. So, okay, that was a lot. I feel like that was already just so much just in the intro. So imagine how much we're going to go into in here. Okay, this is what the plan is. So to keep this structured, I was like, how can we structure this? I thought it might be really helpful to go from the beginning of basically like the beginning of your sales process and work our way through the sales workflow. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start on the marketing side. So we're going to start in the marketing area and talk about how do you market these group trips. And then we're going to talk about, okay, now that you've marketed, how do you collect the information of people who want to go, or if they said they do want to go and you're trying to get their information, all of that stuff. And then finally, we'll talk about how you actually build those trips, those itineraries, proposals, and then what it looks like on the client's end. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to go through different various examples today, but no matter what type of group trips you do, whether it's weddings or tours, incentive trips, school trips, no matter what it is, this all works for all of it. Now, if of course, if you do have specific questions on like, I have a group doing this, how would that work? Feel free to ask us, and then we might be able to address that at the end if there's time. Um, but with all that, I want to dive in first to the marketing side. Now, again, this is personally one of my favorite things about Travify is the website builder. Well, we call it the website builder and then we changed it to pages because what we found is a lot of users were actually using this for group trips, which is really awesome. There's a lot of different ways that you can use them, but essentially what is built into Travify is called pages. And you access this when you're in your account, you go to the top and you just click pages. That's literally where it is. That's all you do. Now, when you first get in here the first time, you're going to see where there's like 4 different themes. Now, we do have different theme options, and you can choose the theme that best fits the either your branding or just kind of the look you're going for. So you have a lot of options for customizing, which I will get into. But now, what these are essentially is, of course, you can use this to build your actual website. So you could build, a complete website in here. Or you can use this, or because you can also do it both ways, you can use this to create just standalone pages. And that's what a landing page is. You'll hear me say that a lot. And that's what I mean. It's basically just a really simple way to customize a single page to send people to get all the information they need on there. Now, I have a couple examples just to help you visualize how this can look for you. I have a couple. I'm gonna drop these in the chat actually. So here's one that I did, and this is for a river cruise, and I'm gonna use this one as an example today. So you can see where I just created this really simple landing page in Travify. I just threw some. It's nothing extensive or long, but I can access the itinerary in here. I have a form, which we'll talk about. We'll go through all of that. The other example that I love showing is wedding. So if you do, destination weddings, or especially if this is like a big group trip, like a family reunion or something, maybe you create a landing page that's just for them. It has their pictures on it. It has like information just about that family or that couple or whatever it might be. So there's just so much you can do in here. It's really cool. I'm telling you, once this started catching fire, people are making amazing pages with this, especially when it comes to group trips and marketing those. So, to give you a good overview of how this works, how you would use it. If I go in here, I have this one that I started, and again, I'm pretending like I'm doing an Ama Waterways cruise, and maybe I'm doing this groups, and I'm trying to get a ton of just different cabins booked in here. So basically, what you do in here is of course, you can create as many pages as you want. Now that's what we call them again. You can create a new page. You can also copy pages. So if you've created one page that you use maybe for like that destination wedding and you just want to use that as your template for the future, you can just copy it. It's really awesome, really easy. And you can do all kinds of things. So you can do things like, of course, add your logo in here. You can add links. So if you want to add an external link back to like your main website or to your social media, you can do all of that in here as well. You can also, again, remember those themes. So you can change the themes to fit, what it is that you're really the look you're going for in here. And you can see it's, and the screen's kind of small, but you can see here where it's changing that look, which is really awesome. And then you can, of course, change the theme color too. So you can put your branding in there as well, which is just really incredible. Now, how this actually comes together is with what we call elements. Now, the elements, I'm going to click new element up here so you see. These are all the different elements. And the elements you treat as like building blocks to creating this page. So if you wanted to start off with, kind of like I have where it's like a big heading at the top to tell you what this is that you've landed on. You can put that in there. You can choose your photo, change the text, or maybe you want to put a photo carousel. Maybe you have an image or just one image you want to put, or different photos. You have all these different elements to choose from to add what you're trying to add. And then you just drag and drop them. That's all it is. So it's really simple. You just drag it and drop it in, and then you click on it and you start editing it over here on the right. You can add your photos, add buttons, add links, text, all of that kind of stuff. Now, two elements that I do want to focus on, just to show you here, is you can, of course, add an itinerary. So if you create an itinerary in your Travify account, you can add that itinerary into the web page so they can view it. Now, how you do that is you're going to choose an element. I'm going to choose, so I clicked on new element here. I'm going to scroll down here just a little bit so I can drop it in right below this. But I'm going to scroll to the element of the trip gallery. Now, I'm going to add it. I'm just going to simply drag and drop it in. So you can see, there it goes. Now, you can add here. I'm going to make my screen a little bigger. Hopefully this looks good for you all, just because that looked kind of squashed. But in here, you can have as many trips as you want. So if you have like multiple trips, you can. But in this case, I just need to show one itinerary. So I'm going to delete these two. And then I'm just going to use this card. And so when I want to add my trip, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in to edit this card. Now, I could go in here and I can edit everything, but here's the beauty. You can actually import a trip or an itinerary that you've created in here. Here's how you do that. So you go at the bottom, click import from Travify, choose trip. And then at the bottom, see all these options that are coming in now? I actually I think it's the South, let me type in this one. There, gems of Southeast Europe. So I want to go ahead and choose that one. Now look at what it does. It goes ahead and it just shows you that photo, the trip information, all that stuff. So it's amazing. I know. It's so incredible. Now let me show you something even cooler. So somebody just had asked if this is optimized for mobile. Yes. So at the top, you can always preview it as you're building and you can see what it looks like. Now you can see here what it looks like if you were to view it on desktop. So here's what it looks like. But you can, right up here in the top right-hand corner, you can click mobile and you can view what it looks like in mobile. So you can actually see it in both ways, which is great because a lot of the majority of people tend to view it on mobile at some point probably. So it's good to just see what it's looking like. But when you have this trip in here, you can just go view trip. And then there you have it. Now, if you're familiar with Travify, this looks very familiar. You can see that you have, a typical itinerary, which we're going to build something like this here soon. And you can just see, you have all the information. And another thing that I love about this is when it comes from the, like a web page like this, you have this contact button. So it becomes like a marketing material, which is super cool. So really awesome stuff there. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and exit out of that. But that's what's really great. Again, you just click in here and you just add that card in the element. Now, I'm going to add one more thing, but I do want to make note that we do have some videos and FAQs on how to do these things in here. But also, just a reminder, highly recommend doing like a training or something because this could be its own webinar, just building a landing page. So there's a lot of things you can do. But I do want to show you one more thing in here, and that's adding forms, because a lot of times when users are building these really amazing pages, they are putting all the information their client needs, but they also want to collect information. Like maybe they want to know is, how do I tell you that I'm interested, or I am interested? Let me sign up now. So what you can do is you can add forms. Now you can add those forms anywhere in here, but one that I specifically really like is if I go to new element, I can do a call to action. So the call to action, I'm going to drag and drop in here, and the call to action is literally made just for that, where we're trying to get them to do something. So in this, I'm going to put it at the bottom of the form, and the heading is going to say, let's say, get ready to discover the gems of Southeast Europe. And then you don't have to have a subheading, but I'm just going to say, let's just cause a little stir here and say bookings are filling up so quickly, you got to sign up now. Get them really like, oh my god, I better sign up now. Little things like that, it'll help. And then what you can do is you'll just click add a button. Now, when you're adding a button, you could add it to, like, maybe it just goes to your email and it just says contact me. You can do things like that. But one thing that I love is the form. And I'm going to click form. Now, we're going to get in on this right after I get done with the landing page side. I'm going to hop over to show you how to create forms in Travify. So we'll dig a little deeper. But as I mentioned at the beginning, is you can create a form for literally anything in here. So in here, I could create a form that says, let's say register now. And then I'm going to say you can import a form that you already have from Travify. So let's just say I'm going to do this new traveler inquiry. Like maybe you create your own. You could create a form right here, which again, we'll get into this. But I'm just going to import one just to show you. And then I'm just going to save that. Now, let's see what this looks like. Let me show you what this will look like for somebody visiting this page. You'll scroll down. Now, here's our register. Now, check this out. If I click this form just pops up in the same window and they can fill this out. So now they can fill this out right here. And then once they fill this out, it's going to go to you. You'll receive an email letting you know they've filled this form out, and then you can go and start working with them. So that's how I'm going to move into the forms here. But I just want to say though, before I do that, how amazing is this? And again, you can make this look however you want. I've seen really simple, I've seen more extensive, I've seen in between that. But keep in mind that you can also, copy these. So if you ever just want to, copy and, be like, I really like that page that I made for this trip, I'm going to do the same like layout for this other trip. So you can always do that as well. The other thing too that I just want to highlight really fast is that you also can add your own domain masking. So if you ever are you have your own website, you can also mask that domain. So that way it says it's like it's branded to your website. And then you also can customize, we call it the slug. So basically it's so you could say if you were at a conference or you were somewhere and someone's interested in a trip, you can say, yeah, go to travelissastravel.com/river cruise 2023, whatever it might be. So that's how you do that branding in there as well. Now, I'm going to drop 2 links in here before I move from landing pages. Now, I want to talk. Here's the landing page video. We have a really great video on landing pages. And then here's more information about domain masking. So there's more on that. So those are those questions. But if there's more, feel free to ask those in there and maybe we can answer those too. But that's the marketing side. Now, we just finished up on the forms, so I want to go back into that. I want to go deeper into talking about forms specifically, because forms is great to collect that information. Like if it's a group sign up, a registration, no matter what it is, they're so easy to build. Now, here's how you do this. I'm going to go back into my account page here. So I'm just going to click the back button. And your forms are actually going to be living in what's called your library. Now you can see the library right up here at the top. I'm just going to click into that. Now, the library, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's basically a place where you can save information to reuse again. So it could be things like, events or, hotel information, restaurant stuff that you've created manually. No matter what it is, that might be that could be living in your library. But that's also where you just create your forms and where your forms live as well. Now, to create a new form, all you're going to do is click the new library item and then choose form. And then from here, you just start creating it. You give it a title first. So I'll say title here. And then we do have templates. So I do want to mention that we do have some templates available that helps you, just get started in there. But then creating forms is actually really simple. You just you just add your questions as you go. So you can do like add new, and then we'll say add a question, and I'll say like, what is your full name? And then maybe I can add additional stuff. So I can say, as shown on your passport or something like that. And then you can say, this is the name and it's required. That's what you do. So that's all you do in here is you just basically ask your question in there. And then that's all it is. And you can say like, is it required? Is the formatting a specific way? Because we can see if it's a phone number and they don't plug in the right, the right way, or they put, characters that aren't numbers, then we can say, hey, nope, this isn't right. So that's what's really great about that as well. Now, I have a little gift for you all. I actually started creating a form that you can take and save it into your Travify account. Now, let me show you this here. I'm gonna delete this for the meantime here. I started making this form right here. Now, I'm gonna share this with you in the chat here in a second, but I kept a lot of this open-ended. So for example, you don't, if you ever want to add like a photo or just a description, that you can add that, and that's what I did right here. So I have, if you just want to edit it, you just click that pencil icon on the far right, and you can just go ahead and put in like your logo here or a photo, and then you can add like a message or what this form is for, all that kind of stuff. You can do that in there. Um, and then you can also have your traveler's name. I put email, phone, basically all the high level stuff that you typically would need. Now, if you want to reword this, of course you can. You can just click again that pencil icon, change the way this is asking. You can also delete them just by clicking that little red dot there. But one thing I also added is I added all the main information, and then I split it up to where you can start putting travel information. So maybe you need to collect info like, are you traveling with anybody? Or maybe you have to do like, what date are you departing? Or maybe you also put, what rooms are you interested in? And this is where you can break down the different room options. Or maybe it's like, if it's like a wedding, a destination wedding, and you have different tour options, and you're like, which one would you be interested in? And they can select those. So it's really cool. And what this looks like, let me show you that way first. I'm just going to click this preview. Now, again, you can see what it looks like if it's on mobile or if it's on desktop. And you can see here, they just fill this out. So you can see, and you can see we have special ways, like if it is a home address, we have the fields correctly for that, all of that kind of stuff. And now what happens, and you can see here that these were required, so I didn't fill them out. So that's how they fill it out. And then once they do fill this form out, you will get an email letting you know that they filled it out. And then you can then go in and export their information or create a contact, which I'll show you how to do that. All of that different kind of stuff. And when you want to send this to them, there's two ways you can do it. You can always just share. So this link, I'm actually going to share this link with everybody right now. So this is the money. There's my little gift to everybody is that form right there in that link. You can open it, and there's actually a way when you open this, it'll say copy to library. Now you have to be logged into your Travify account, but when you are, you'll be able to copy this to your library, and then you can work off of this, and you can add more, edit it, whatever you want. But hopefully it's just a good jumping off point that way. But when you want to send it to a client, you can actually just click the share link. So there's a link that you can send to your client. You can also email it directly to your client as well. So you could email in there. Now, one thing I do want to note, because I'm not going to spend time unless there's questions at the end, we do have, of course, the credit card authorization option as well. So if you need to collect credit card authorization information, you could put that into this form. And all you would do is you click add new, and then you click question, and then it's card authorization. So you just have to turn on two-factor authentication in your account. And once you do, you have that option there. But something to note about that is if you do have credit card authorization in there, you will have to email it through Travify. So there's not like a link to get it, if that makes sense. So just always like to highlight that, that's just the difference there of that. Now, when you do start getting responses, here's what it's going to look like. I actually had one just beforehand that I wanted to do to show you. But when you come into these forms, you can click on responses on the right-hand side here. And you can see, so I can always export these. So I can see one that I've had previously. But this is a new one. This one was submitted recently and it's a new contact. Like I don't have Sandy Smith. I don't have that information yet. So what I can do is I can click assign to a new contact. Now I'm going to do this and I'm going to show you what's going to happen here. So now you can see Sandy Smith is in here. And how I go access this information on Sandy Smith is in my contacts. Now remember, contacts is our simple CRM. So when you get these new traveler information coming in, you can keep it organized in your contacts area. So you can see now, this is a new person. I haven't touched anything yet. So in here, I now can go in and I can start adding notes. I can see what the forms, if I need to view the responses of these forms. If I need to, I can see once I start sending proposals and itineraries, I can see which ones I've sent to them. All kinds of stuff in here. You can also add more, you can add custom fields to put more information. Whatever it is you need to do. Another thing I really, really love is that you can add tasks. So when Sandy's information came in for my group trip, I can say, okay, it's Sunday morning. I'm not going to do it yet, but I'm going to make a task. So first thing tomorrow, I'm going to call and set up consultation call or something like that. And I can set it for the next day. I can put a time on it. So let's say 9 a.m. And then I'm just going to say, okay, now I have a task to follow up with this person. It's also really great if, you have like payment plans and you need to remind them like, hey, I'm going to need to collect this payment on this date and, all that stuff. So you can create these tasks for yourself to do things. So it just helps keep it organized. It's really great, especially if you're working with the main leader of the group. If you have groups that way, you can put like a label in here to specify like, this is the main leader. So this is who I'm usually going to be connecting with, things like that. So there's just so much you can do in that. And I love the ability of, the contacts, keeping it organized. And I did see someone had asked, can you upload contacts that you already have? And yes, you can. You can just do that by clicking import contacts and you can actually just import them all, which is really cool. So really awesome. So you can keep that in there. And something to note about that is if you had, let's say I already had Sandy Smith in here and she just filled out another form, this will intuitively know that that was the same person and that form will go into this contact profile. So it actually just starts going and saving into those contact profiles, which is really, really cool. So love that. Love the forms. But okay, so now let's say, and again, I apologize. I know this is a lot here, but stick with me here because I know we did the marketing side. Now we have new travelers. Now let's talk about the trips, the itineraries, the proposals. That's probably one of the biggest things, honestly. So I'm going to go back out to my trips here. So I'm going to go to my trips. Now, when you get in here, obviously, if you're new to Travify, all you need to do to create a new itinerary or proposal is to just click new trip, choose if it's an itinerary or a proposal. And then that's how you start the new ones in there. Now, I'm not going to start fresh. I'm not going to spend a ton of time building a trip just because we don't have as much time. But I will still show you a lot of things. But the first thing that I want to say before I jump into this trip is there's a few different ways you can create these trips to stay organized with groups. Now, I like to give you different options to start off with because your trips might be 50 to 100 plus people. It might be like less people and they all know each other. It could be a school group. I mean, there's a lot of different variations. So there's different things that you can do. So one thing that you could do is you could create one itinerary that's for everyone. It's just a just basic itinerary for everyone. It's one link that you're sharing, everyone accesses that same itinerary. The other option is you could create one itinerary, use that as your template, and then you can copy that trip into as many copies as you need. So then that way you can create that copy for like one traveler, and then you put their specific information in it, then you send it off to them. And then you create another copy and then you send that to like a family and you send that off to them. So that's an option as well. The third option is that you can also utilize our tool called tagging, where you create, just one simple itinerary, and then you can add everybody's information separately, but you tag them in it. Now, don't worry, I'm going to walk you through how that works. So I just like to tell you that. So if you're like, "Whoa, I have 100 people, this is not going to work," I can show you different ways that you can help that to get work. So I'm just going to jump into this trip that I started building this already, but I'm still going to add things in here together because, again, if this is your first time seeing Travify, it's really helpful to see how this works in here. So I am using that river cruise as my example. Now I'm gonna add a few things in here just so we can get a little itinerary in here. Is I am going to start by adding that cruise. Now, I like to use the cruise example because, first of all, I hear about this a lot with group trips, but Travefy actually has a database of cruises. So you can really quickly add it, and it's so awesome. So I'm going to do that really fast where I add a cruise. So I'm just going to click the new event button here. Now, we have that cruise database, so you can click cruise. Now we're going to choose a cruise line. I'm going to do Ama Waterways, and this is the Ama Leia, or is it yeah, Leia right there. Now I'm going to choose the Melodies of the Danube. I'm going to add that, and I'm going to add it to my itinerary. So it's going to add everything in here for me. So I'm going to add, you can see this is awesome. And again, this is normal Travify stuff that you can access, these cruises in here, which is really incredible. Now, the other thing that maybe I want to add is maybe I want to add also the hotel. So I can come in here, click new event, choose lodging. Now this hotel that I'm going to add really quick in here, I'm just going to add it really fast. You can see Travify has a database of hotels as well. And check this out. This is going to be really cool. You can see you can add it, and then it's actually going to add all the information and photos. I mean, look at this. It's very quick and easy. And then of course you can come in here and edit. One thing you can do if you're dealing with group trips, depending on what type of group trip this is, you can also add one event here for the hotel. But of course, other people might have other confirmations, things like that. So you could add everybody's confirmation in here, and you can keep it really organized by inserting what we call a table. And you can actually bring that in, and then you can say like confirmation Smith family, and then maybe you have it down here, and then you can put the other confirmations going on. So the table is going to be a really good friend of yours in there when you're, especially when doing group trips, laying things out different, keeping that in there. But that's what's really great. Now, the thing that I want to talk about now, I added just a couple things just to show you. Now, let's use these as my example. Let's say, for example, this right here is everybody on this trip is going to be dealing with this exact same itinerary. So I have everything in here. So now what I could do is if you ever want to create one itinerary that's like a template, and then you copy it for to create other variations for other travelers, all you do is you go to your main trips page here, and then you click on it, and then you click the copy button. That's all you do. It's so easy. So you can make as many copies as you want in there, which is really cool. And then when you make those copies, you can then go ahead and change the title, then add specifically what's for them in there. So a lot of different, that's a very popular way that we typically can see people handling groups. Now, one more way, this is the one that blows people's minds and I love it, is tagging. So there's the ability where you can tag people. So that way you're creating one trip But then you're adding like all their flights. Let's say this is a good example. You have all their flights in here, but there's actually only 2 people are on this flight, 4 people are on this flight, invite and all that. So what you can do is you could add all those flights into this one trip and then tag the people specifically in the events they're part of. So let me take you on an example here. So let me just quickly put in here. I'm going to put a flight. Okay, so I'm just gonna put in a flight really quick. I'm gonna do this one. This will make a lot of sense when I do this. So I'm gonna say get info, add to itinerary. Now we have these flights in here. Now let's say again, only a couple people are on this specific flight. So what I can do is I can tag them in here. Now, to tag them, what you can do first is click on the more button at the top, click people. Now, in here, you can just add a contact. You can just add them as you go. So we can say, like we want John Smith in here, Jill Smith, whatever, whoever we need to put in here. But you also can bulk import. So keep this in mind. You can bulk import people as well, which comes in a lot of handy depending on what you're doing. So that's a quick way to do that. Now, when you have these people in here, you then are able to go in and tag them into any event in here. So for this flight specifically, I'm going to click that pencil icon. I'm going to come down here, see where it says people. You click only specific people, and then you type in their name, or you can look at their name. You can see here. And I can now put John and Jill Smith in here and then say done editing. And now see how they're part of this. So this is really helpful for you as the planner to look at this and say, okay, perfect. John and Jill are on this flight. And then maybe like the hotels might be different too. So you tag them in different hotels. Now, what's great about this is once they are tagged, you can share this trip to everybody at one time, and they're going to see specifically what they're tagged in. So they automatically see their personalized itinerary. So that way, you don't actually have to have all these different links and versions that you're sending to them. You just send it, and we know who's viewing it. So we can say, oh, if Jill's looking at this, we're going to show her these flights. If someone else is looking, other flights, we'll show them those flights. So cool. I can already see it. It's so awesome in there. One thing I want to mention about tagging too, though, is you can make tagging private or public. Now we automatically set it to private. So when it is set this way, when you send this trip to everybody, they'll have to create an account if they don't already in their app to view this, in the trip plans app to view the trip, because we need to know who's viewing it. Otherwise, if it's set as public, they can see other people's versions. Now, where this can come in handy is if you set it, if it's like a family and they all know each other and it's actually helpful for them to see what other people are doing, then they can, you might want to set it to public in here. And that way, you can see right here, that way they can see like what flights is Jill on, and they can look and toggle and see which flight Jill's on. So that's what's really great. So you can choose, private or public in there. Now, what this actually looks like for them is if we preview this, you can see here's what this looks like. But if this was set to public, this is where I could say, what does this look like for John? Like, okay, so there's the flights. Or what does this look like just for this person? And you can see that one first flight is gone now. So that's what's really cool about this as well. It's really, really awesome. But another thing too that I want to mention, a really good pro tip that we've seen people do is if you're doing really large groups like weddings or incentive travel groups, what you could do is you could create one shared itinerary like this where it has all the information that everybody would need. But then you could create another itinerary where you put in all of the flights, the individual flights. And then that way it's just because that might help. So then it's almost like you'll have 2 different trips, but then your flights are in a separate trip, because a lot of times that's what starts happening. I know many of you on this probably have experienced this, is if you have a lot of flights going on, it could get really intense on that itinerary builder just for you planning. So you could just have like endless amounts of flights. So we have seen people do that. And so that could be a helpful thing too, is just create a whole nother trip that's just has the flights. And it might be easier to set it up that way. So just a little pro tip that we've seen our awesome users do in there. Now the other thing that I want to mention is what this actually looks like for them. So we looked at it here, we could see here it is. Now, a couple of things that are really great about this group trip experience is that they have that mobile app. So when you send this to them, and again, you can do that by clicking the send button. You can get the trip link and you can just get this link, send it to them. You can also email it directly to them as well. So you can email it in here and then you can email to everyone. So all people on this trip. And then you can write in a message here if you want to. And then they are going to receive an email and just looks like it's coming from you. So if they reply back to it, it goes to you. And then they'll be able to get a PDF copy of this or they can get the mobile app, which highly recommend because it is awesome and it's called the Trip Plans app and it allows them to view this trip on the go. So they can view it in here. They can get their automated live flight updates. So if you have flight updates turned on, they'll get notified if anything's getting delayed. You can also chat with them and it acts as a group chat. So you can, if you have any information, if you, let's say something changes and you're like, I just updated the tour, for this time, check it out in your trip. You'll see it in your itinerary and it updates. Everything is just automatically updating. You can notify them. It's really, really incredible. It's just, again, a great way to have everything. And you can also upload things like documents in there as well that they can access. So there's all kinds of things in there. Now, another thing that I always like to mention when we talk about the mobile apps is also that you have your own app. Now, a lot of times we see users like the travel advisors downloading trip plans, but you actually want Travify Pro. So make sure you go to your App Store or Google Play Store and download the Travify Pro app. Now, that app is going to give you better access to all of your trips that you've created. You'll be able to chat with your clients from there. You also can add those tasks. You can see those tasks in there as well that you're creating, reminding yourself to do. Um, all of that stuff. It's so cool. There's so much stuff in there. Um, but yes, I was looking at my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything. I know this was a lot. And again, I apologize if this felt like, oh my God, there's so many things. So I do just want to reiterate here. I'll get into some questions, but I do want to mention again that everything that we just talked about is all part of your subscription. So if you already have Travify, you have access to everything I have already gone through. But you can also go to travify.com, sign up for a free trial. We give you 10 days, you can explore, do everything in there. But then I also recommend do sign up for a demo if you're new. If you are already a user, schedule those trainings with us. If you just go to your help center, so travify.com/support, I'm going to drop in the chat here. This is everything. You can find it all in here. So you can schedule those trainings in here. We also have an amazing Facebook group. If you join that, a lot of people will share forms and they'll share, different things they're doing with Travify, their pages. It's really, really cool. And of course, ton of FAQs. So everything I talked about, it's broken down in FAQs, all of that kind of stuff in there. Now, I want to get in questions because I know that we have this hour just went so fast. I knew it would. Can you? Oh, okay. So someone had asked, can you share the trip itinerary that I just created? Yes. Let me get that. So I'm just going to preview it here. I'm gonna grab this link. Here is the trip. There it is. Okay, I threw that in the chat there. Oh, someone asked, can you add external links to your page? Yes. So you can add links anywhere. Now I'll show you a couple things. So first, you can add a link anywhere in here. If you ever want to add it like in an actual event, you could just edit it like, in here. And then we have the option where if you come in here, you just click insert link and you can actually drop a link in here. So I could say link here. I can highlight it and then I can put a link in here. So I'll just put like travify.com. There we go. And that's how you do. Fun little thing. You can also bold and highlight to really call attention. So that's really cool. But another thing that's really great, if you ever want to link like a form or something like that in here, one of the good ways to do that is if you click into your settings, you can go into the description and this trip description, it lives at the top. So you could say, register here by filling out this form. or whatever you would say. And then you can also just put that link right in here. So if I could put it right here, let me show you here. I'm going to save that. Now, if I preview this, see how it's just right here. So that's another great option too. So really cool that you can do that. Another question here, is there a way to download the info from the form to Excel or some other program? So yeah, you can do that. If you go into your library, and then you're able to export those responses. So there's none in here now, but if there were, let me just show you. I can go into this one because this one did have some. And then you can click export spreadsheet and it'll just export all of that out there for you. Also, something I just thought of that I didn't mention is you can copy forms. So if you create a form for one group trip and you have like personalized information in there, you can also just copy it and then use it for another trip too. Oh, okay, yes. And then speaking of that, someone had asked, can you make a copy of the landing page? Yes, you can. I think that is a game changer because I feel like maybe it's just me, but I take time, putting this together and I'm always like, man, it'd be great if I can copy it. You can. So you can just click this. It's okay, it's really hard to see, but it's like this little copy button. If you go into the settings and you go in there, but there's an FAQ on it too. So if you forget where to look or something, just chat us or look for that FAQ and you can see in there. Another question here is, how do you send the customer a note to download the app? I recommend the chat. So there's two different ways you could do this. So one, when you send this trip to them, we can preview this. Like this is what they'd be seeing. You can chat them, so you can send a quick chat message and say, "Hey, don't forget to download the app." Something like that. Another option though that you can do is if you come in here, you can edit. You can click the send button and you can email this trip, and then you can include a custom message. Now, this is where I'm going to level up. We have the option where you can actually save messages. So one message like I've saved before is bon voyage. So pretend I have this bon voyage message and this goes out, like I send this a couple days before the trip. Well, what I could have put in here is I could also put, make sure you download your app. And then you can put a link to this as well. You can put the link into here, I'll drop this in the chat. Link for app to share with clients. Okay, I'm going to put that in there. There we go. So this link you can actually share with your clients, which is really cool. And you'll just tell them how to download the app and why it's cool to have, all of that good stuff. But you could just put that in there, which is really, really cool. Now, I don't want to give away too much, but we're working on something that makes that easier to do. That's all I'm going to say. Stay tuned. I am really excited about it. It's going to be awesome. Just know something great is coming for that. Um, Another question here, this is a good one, is how do you change a proposal to an itinerary? I didn't really talk about this, and it's really important because when you have the option to create an itinerary or a proposal, it kind of doesn't matter which one you choose. The difference is that the way that it looks. So it matters once you send it to the client, because what it looks like for the client is they are actually able to approve it, where if it's an itinerary, they are able to get the app, get the PDF, all that kind of stuff. So what you can do if it's, let's say this is supposed to be a proposal, I can change the type. And all you do to change the type is just click on the trip and then just change the type from here. It's really that simple. So that's a good thing. If you accidentally choose the wrong one or it turns into, vice versa, you can always change that in there. Another really great tip that a lot of users miss, and it's very helpful, is if you ever need to like unpublish the trip, you can do that. And all you have to do is click into the settings of this trip. And then there's the visibility and you can make it hidden. So if you're like working on it or, especially if it was like a proposal and now you're turning that into the itinerary, you might have changes going on. So you can change that visibility in there as well as you're working on it. Oh, and then Bonnie had mentioned, can you reshare the form I created? Yes. Let me get that again here. So that form that I created, oops, let me go into my library. Here is this form. Okay, here it is. I'm dropping this form, and I hope that is really helpful in there. Let's see. Okay, so I'm looking through here really quick. I know Bonnie's working real hard back there. There's a lot of questions. There is things. And again, I apologize. I know there's a lot and this feels fast. There's just so many things to go over. That training again, schedule that by going, if you go to that support center, the travify.com/support and click schedule training, or you can live chat us in your account as well and let us know, and we can send you that link as well. So you can get that in there too. Oh, someone said, "Spill the tea, don't leave." I know, I'm sorry. Oh, I will be spilling it soon though, I promise. It's so great. So something that just came in. So Marriott asked, why doesn't Travify have standard templates that can be edited? So we do actually. So if you go, actually, let me show you two things. So one, if you create a new form, so if you click form, come in here and then just click create from template. And we have 3 templates in there, and you can just use those, to work off of if you want. Another option though is if you go into our help center, I'll share this with you. We have library samples that you can save. So just like how I shared that, how I shared that link to the form, we have other stuff just like that. So some users and suppliers have shared things with us, and they've allowed us to share it with you all. So you can come in here. Let me library gallery here. I'm typing this in the chat. I'm going to share this in here. So we have this library sharing gallery. And again, you can access it from our support center. And there's all kinds of stuff in here. Like we have those forms. We have other forms. So if those standard templates that we have are you want more or need something different, it might be in here. So like we have things like insurance waivers, passport, service fee agreements. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Yeah, really, really, really great. Which is awesome in there. Let's see here. I'm just gonna kind of go through some questions. I know that there's this is kind of cool. So Nathan had said, is there a way for the client to see the progress of a task list or remind them of tasks they need to complete? So we don't currently have something like that. That's a really cool idea though, that we can pass along to our team. But one thing that you could do, and again, I can't spill the tea, but there's something that might help you here soon. But one thing that I would recommend doing is you can create trip task lists and save those entire task lists in so let me just show you. If you go into your library, you can say new library item, choose task list, and you can start creating them. So you could create it like, let's say this is the pre-trip task list. And you add a task and you say, like, make sure client has submitted the form, like whatever form it might be. And you need to get this, 40 days before the trip start date or whatever it might be. So you can do this in here. And then that way, when you have these trip task lists in here, you can add them to trips. Now, let me show you here. Bear with me because I'm kind of moving around a little bit. But if you go into your tasks here, you can go ahead and import that task list. Now, see how it'll automatically put that date in there. So it puts it in there, but it's not going to notify your client. It's going to notify you. So by notifying you, you then can send out a form, or maybe you send a message or a chat. So that's one thing that it'll do. So there's ways that you can make that work. It's just not going to notify the client directly, but it's going to notify you to tell the client, which hopefully can be a little helpful there as well. I think that's probably a good spot to potentially stop. I know again, there's a lot in here that we didn't get to, but I definitely want to mention again, email us at professional@travify.com or chat us live in your account. If you go in your account, you can go ahead and just chat us right in here. So just chat us right in there. Look, I have a message already. And so you can chat us right in there. We'll reply back right away. And so that's what's great. So we definitely can get to your questions. And again, I always like these as well. It really helps. I share your questions and feedback with our team. And that way, our whole team can check it out and see what you're asking, what you're saying, all that good stuff. So thank you again. And thank you, Bonnie. I know Bonnie's typing right. I can see that she's typing right now. So I don't want to end this right when she's trying to send a question, an answer. Um, sweet. But thank you so much again, everyone. Stay tuned. There's some cool stuff coming. I'm really excited again with this group trip stuff. I love talking about the group trip stuff. I also want to do a little plug. Watch your emails because in about a couple weeks, I think it's gonna be 2 weeks, you're going to start getting information about our annual sales workshop, and it's going to be so awesome. It's a whole, like, it's 3 days long, bunch of webinars all about how to grow your business and sales. So we don't really focus on Travify. We focus more just on the business aspects in the industry. So it's going to be really, really cool. So thank you so much again. Thank you, Bonnie, for working real hard back there. I know that was a lots of questions, and we will answer those questions. Hit us up after this, and we'll be happy to answer anything we didn't get to, or if you think of it after this as well. So thank you. Thank you so much. See you guys.